The U.S. is home to millions of Americans who are either currently active duty soldiers or veterans. Though some veterans and current service members are fairly easy to identify with their hats, bumper stickers, fatigues, dress uniforms, and other items that clearly display they've served, there are a number of other, slightly more subtle indicators that reveal specific patterns of behavior that nearly all soldiers hold in common. Stick around, as Facts First presents obvious signs you've served in the military. Demeanor, worldview, and attitude. The vast majority of active duty service members and veterans are polite in their conversations and everyday interactions with their fellow community members. This might come as no surprise, seeing as respect and politeness are a couple of core tenets soldiers are instilled with in basic training. Service members are taught to treat their fellow compatriots and superiors with respect and an elevated level of decorum. But this training isn't limited to interactions with military personnel. They're expected to afford the same level of respect and dignity to everyone they interact with. Next time you talk to a soldier or veteran, listen for the use of words like ma'am and sir. If you notice somebody out in public that consistently uses this kind of language, especially in customer service settings, there's a decent chance they've served or currently are serving in the military. If you really pay attention when you're out and about at places like grocery stores, gas stations, libraries, or restaurants, it's fairly rare to come across regular civilians that use this sort of language with regularity. Old combat boots. They say old habits die hard. After a soldier has discovered the wonders and versatility of combat boots, it's not unusual for them to continue wearing them even when they're no longer on the base or battlefield. Sleeping on the floor. You won't need a bed if you've ever completed basic training. During this initial bit of training, soldiers are prepared to sleep practically anywhere, be it on rock-hard ground, in a hammock, or in the dense grass. Beds are a luxury that aren't available everywhere when you're serving in the military, so it makes a lot of sense that servicemen and women would have to adjust to sleeping on the floor. Some get so used to it that beds begin to feel uncomfortable. If a buddy of yours occasionally likes to curl up on the rug even when a bed or couch is available, there's a very good chance they're a vet. Brisk walking. After someone undergoes military training, many aspects of the instruction become second nature. One very visible aspect is swiftness of pace. A vet or active duty soldier will often walk at a much quicker pace than the civilians around them. They usually carry the same sense of urgency in tasks in their lives, regardless of how important they are. Former or current servicemen and women usually walk at a deliberately brisk pace, showing a great sense of duty, eagerness, and preparedness. Vigilance. It goes without saying that vigilance is a crucial quality to cultivate when serving in the armed forces. It's a skill that is highly encouraged and reinforced throughout all facets of the military. Without heightened awareness of a soldier's surroundings, they are at far greater risk of being attacked or wounded in action. As such, soldiers who are trained to have a heightened perception of their surroundings and environment are readier to participate in a variety of high-stakes combat scenarios. This aspect of training never really goes away. Even after years of being a civilian, veterans often seem on edge in certain social situations. They might keep a tight watch over their surroundings, regardless of how safe their settings might be. If you come across a clean-cut, stocky-built person who is constantly scanning their eyes around their environment at something like a sporting event or a party, they may be acting on old habits they acquired in military training. If they aren't in the military, this is a pretty good indicator someone would do well in that environment. Power stance. While veterans and service members are fairly easy to pick out in a crowd, officers are especially identifiable. An officer, either commissioned or non-commissioned, will usually exude a high level of confidence and leadership. These qualities are ingrained within an officer's character, either through training or by birth. Additionally, officers typically have a broad range of ways, both conscious and unconscious, in which they communicate their positions of authority. They tend to conduct their body language in an authoritative, confident, and assertive manner, whether they intend to or not. One of the most obvious ways they might do this is what's known as a power stance, wherein they may stand erect with their thumbs between their belt. Military jargon. If you're familiar with the military or even have seen a few war films, you already know there's an entire vocabulary and set of jargon used in communication. You might be familiar with common responses such as Roger or negative, but there are several other words and phrases you can be on the lookout to identify someone who is currently serving or has in the past. Alphabetic codes are often used in the military due to the lack of auditory clarity in radio communications. The letters of the Greek alphabet are used, like Alpha and Delta, as well as words like Bravo and Charlie, and they are used to refer to words that begin with the corresponding letters of the English alphabet. If you hear anyone using this kind of language to refer to something that most other folks would simply refer to by their given names, there's a high likelihood they've spent some time in the armed forces. Hairstyle. All branches of the military require members to abide by a very strict and specific set of personal grooming standards, especially in regards to one's hair. For example, on the top, hair can be no longer than 3 inches long. As far as styling goes, there are a few distinct and highly recognizable military haircuts that conform to the rigid set of standards. The most identifiable military haircut is high and neat. The person's sides are usually shaved, and the hair on top is closely cropped. Generally speaking, the vast majority of military haircuts are substantially shorter on the sides than up top. It's rare to see these haircuts on anyone who isn't at least somewhat associated with the military. Sunglasses. It's commonly known that vets and active duty service members love wearing sunglasses. It's fairly common to see servicemen and women wearing sunglasses at all times, even when they're out and about as civilians. A soldier will rock their sunglasses even in the middle of a thunderstorm, when there's no sunlight breaching the cloud cover. If you meet someone wearing sunglasses while also exhibiting some of the other behaviors we've covered, it's a fairly safe bet to assume they've either served or are currently serving. The sunglasses of choice for vets or active duty soldiers are typically Oakley's or similar wraparound style sunglasses because they stay on easily and are pretty utilitarian in their construction. Style of dress. We've already discussed combat boots, but there are other items of clothing that they might wear in civilian lives. One of these items is cargo shorts. Like many other items worn and utilized by soldiers, cargo shorts are very functional. They may not be stylish, but they're certainly quite utilitarian and practical. With many pockets capable of carrying equipment and personal items, cargo shorts are naturally quite appealing to soldiers who are already used to carrying around large quantities of stuff during the day. In fact, the majority of cargo pants have about the same pocket configurations as authentic military BDU pants. They're also often available in camo or olive green. While this might not be the best indicator, as many people who've never served before also like cargo pants, when seen in combination with some of these other indicators, it can be a pretty good sign. Quick eaters. In the military, soldiers are trained and expected to be prepared for just about anything at any time. They're expected to drop whatever it is they're doing at a moment's notice to jump headlong into action. With the threat of imminent danger always present on the front lines, mundane or trivial tasks like eating or drinking must be done with a sense of haste and urgency. If you've ever tried an MRE before, you know they're not exactly known for being gourmet. Taste and aesthetics aren't exactly priorities when designing these kinds of quick-to-consume, ready-to-eat meals. To a soldier, food is just fuel to keep their bodies in motion. As such, soldiers are taught to eat fast in case their meal is suddenly interrupted by the call of duty. Veterans often retain this habit due to compulsion and repetition. If you see someone with a high and tight haircut quickly scarfing down their lunch, they very well could have served their country. Now it's time to hear from you. Can you think of any other indicators that someone has or is serving in the military? Let us know in the comments section below.